Hello and welcome to Colony Drop. My name is Brian,
My name is Isaac,
and this is a podcast about the long-running anime series Mobile Suit Gundam.
where we cover everything Gundam, from the models to the manga to the novels to the movies to everything related to the entire meta genre.
So Isaac, I feel like we've tackled some in-depth, heavy-hitting topics lately. So I think what are we going to do today? Maybe something a little simpler?
Yeah, definitely. Well, Brian, we're like so into Gundam that we can get all caught up in talking about the upcoming movie or, our favorite episodes and all that. But why don't we kind of boil it down and talk about our favorite mobile suits, like maybe our top 5 from the 1 Year War?
Top 5 from the 1 Year War. I think that's a great idea because
Do it.
I think, and I'm pretty sure Gundam fans would agree, that you can draw a lot of conclusions about a person based on their taste in mobile suits.
Can you? Is this like a psychology, like a Rorschach test kind of?
Oh, I think it totally is. You don't think we're going to give our top 5 here and the listeners are going to totally judge us?
I imagine they will. Now just think about it. Well,
100%.
You could be judged about anything on the internet. So
yeah.
We're gonna just revealing mobile suits will provide a psychological profile. But if you want to do an analysis, if you're listening to this and you want to do an analysis on us based on our mobile suit selections, go for it. Please leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear it.
Okay, so before we start, I think we should make some predictions.
Oh, okay.
So maybe if you've listened to a few episodes at this point, Isaac is a very staunch Zeon supporter. I am maybe more in the middle, probably leaning Federation.
Hang on, let me cut you off right there. There's no way you have like a foot in Zeon's camp at all. You might have like a few of the small toes, but that's about it.
I don't know. So how about this? Tell me how many Zeon and Federation suits you think are going to be on my list out of 5.
Okay, out of 5 on your list, I'll say 3 Federation, 2 Zeon.
2 Zeon. Okay. And for you, I'm going to say all 5 Zeon.
Damn.
You
got me.
I don't think there's a shred of Federation respect in there. Not one iota.
Hang on. Let me defend myself just for a little bit. All right. And let me remind listeners that we're only selecting mobile suits from the 1 Year War. The one mobile suit from the Federation that I wanted to include on my list, but I actually couldn't because from 0083 was the Gym Cannon. Oh, I always liked those. Those were so fun in 0083. They just a good mid-range mobile suit with pretty powerful weapons, and I even liked how they look with the armor. That kind of bulky armor that they run around in.
Like a scaled down version of the Alex, the RX-78 NT1 Chobham armor. Yeah.
Well, Brian, you hit the nail on the head. You got me. You won the jackpot. It's all Zeon for me. Sorry, listeners.
You were that easy to read. Well, I'll tell you, you were incorrect. There are actually 3 Zeon suits on mine and 2 Federation suits.
Let me just say that says a lot about Zeon because God bless the Federation and their fight to not be destroyed by a genocidal maniac. But their mobile suits are just so uniform. So we'll have the gym space, and then we'll have the gym ground, and then the gym water.
Yep.
But Zeon will pump out 8 different mobile suits for water. They all look different. They all work differently, and it doesn't matter. The Federation wipes them out because they didn't build enough.
That's probably why I don't have more Federation suits on my list. They're a bit samey, right?
Yeah, you almost need UC to go on longer to start seeing like the Federation experimenting.
Totally. I think you're right. 0083 maybe had the first hint of maybe some cooler things.
Yeah, definitely. But as far as this list goes, how should we do this, Brian? You want to start from 5 to our most favorite, or start with our top choice, number 1, and then go all the way down?
So I think what we do is first we start with maybe an honorable mention.
Ooh.
And then we go from least favorite to most favorite. We've got to build it up,
All right.
I'll give you the last word on everything, so I'll go first with my my honorable mention. So my honorable mention, like you said, there's a lot of different GMs, and I felt like I didn't want to be too samey by putting too many GMs on my list, but there was one that I really liked, which I thought was maybe the best looking of what I would say the normal looking GM is, and that is the GM Cold Climate type, was seen in 0080. It had a really nice green visor, which I thought was really cool. And I don't know, just for whatever reason, that particular iteration of it, I think looks really neat. But it was a little bland, so I didn't feel like it was good enough to be on a top 5.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm thinking of a different mobile suit. Oh, maybe I'm thinking of ones from Gundam X. But was that a mobile suit that had like leg warmers?
Leg warmers?
No, okay. It must be from Gundam X. There was a mobile suit that was like a cold climate type, I think, in Gundam X or something. And I mean, it came out in the 80s, so they put leg warmers on it.
Leg warmers. No, there are no leg warmers on this suit.
Federation abandoned the technology.
I double checked.
Okay, good. All you leg warmer fans, you can stop listening now.
But I'm sure you just gave a Xeon engineer somewhere a good idea, and they'll pump out a prototype with leg warmers.
Hey man, they live in space. They're not used to slow. It's new technology to them. Does my 0083 Jim Cannon count as the?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, mine was definitely within the 1 year war, but if you want to use that, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, technically, before you blow up in the comments, purists, yeah, I know 0083 is not the 1 year war, but let's just assume that it was on someone's blueprint board or design board during the 1 year war, right? Yeah. It's a gym where they just put 2 cannons on the shoulders and then slapped on some armor and sent it out. It wasn't a huge leap in design, but it's pretty effective, I think.
Those Federation engineers, they're not the most creative. They had a GM and they had a gun cannon in there, and some guy was like, "Oh, maybe we'll just save money and make one instead."
That's exactly what happened. So do we move up the list towards number 1, or do we move down the list?
Okay, no, we'll move up the list. So this would be my number 5. This might be considered a cop-out pick, but my number 5 is going to be just the original RX-78-2 Gundam from the original Mobile Suit Gundam, piloted by Amuro Ray. This suit obviously started it all. I knew Isaac wasn't going to put it on his list, so I felt like it had to go on my list if it was going to make the list at all. And so, because it started it all, I felt like it deserved to be on this list. And I think there's a lot of good reasons, just beyond it being the original. So one, it has a lot of weapons that became iconic for the whole series. The beam rifle, the beam saber, even the look of the shield became very iconic.
Yeah.
And it even has that crazy beam javelin. Like that was one of those weirder weapons that it used in some of the episodes. In addition to that ball and chain, I don't even remember why they were using that. But it was pretty cool.
It's an experimental unit. Come on, they're gonna slap on anything they think might work.
Yeah. Plus I'm sure they needed some accessories to sell toys. But I think sometimes that beam javelin was pretty neat. Like there were some of those episodes where Amuro would land on a Xeon ship and he would just shove the javelin into the ship and then just walk along the ship and just drag a hole into the ship, and it would blow up, and then he would just fly away and do it to another ship, which is pretty fun. It's it created a lot of iconic poses. There's that one shot from I think the first episode where Amuro cuts the Zaku in half, where he's lunging forward, and then the Zaku is cut in half behind him with the beam saber. That's been copied a million times. And then you have that final shot at the end of the last episode, or it has to be maybe the next to last episode, where the head has been blown off by the Zeong, and the Gundam walks up and shoots and blows up the Zeong head. That's a real iconic pose as well. I think it's just everyone calls it the final shot. I'm not sure which colors I prefer, the normal or maybe the darker G3 colors. The normal colors are certainly pretty bright and eye-popping. They're very late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And again, I think we mentioned briefly, I don't think that was how Tomino wanted it to be colored. I think he wanted it maybe some more realistic colors. But the original is the original, so
colors sell.
White, blue, red, and yellow. There were a lot of other Gundams in the 1 year war. There was the ground Gundam. There were the other RX-78 variants that were in some of the side stories. There was the units 4, 5, and 6. 4 and 5 were blue and orange, I think. I think Unit 6, which was Gundam Mudrock. But I didn't want to go too deep into the side stories, and those designs seemed a little try hard to me. And so I feel like the original is it's the original and deserves to be on this list. And it does make me wonder how they'll color it, assuming the movie adapts the 1 year war time frame. Do you think they'll keep the bright colors from the RX-78-2, or you think we'll maybe see a muted palette?
It might be not necessarily the same shades of red and blue and yellow, but I think we will generally see that the same color scheme. Yeah, too iconic. They have to match already what they've built up, what exists in almost every other series. This one movie coming out, just so that it visually looks like it still stays recognizably Gundam.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think the blue is gonna stay. I'm pretty sure a lot of the red accents are gonna stay. I don't know if those yellow vents are gonna stay though. Those are pretty bright. So
yeah,
I think they'll dial it back.
Pale, pale yellow or something.
Yeah,
but I can see it happening. But I apologize, listeners, that the Gundam is our number 5 choice on one of our lists. But you know what? In our own way, the Gundam will always be at the top of the list. It'll be beyond 1, above 1, whatever's above 1.
Yeah, the platinum rank. All right, so what's your number 5?
Well, what I read about this mobile suit was that it was originally intended, if not existed, as a match for the Gundam. Now, I'm not sure if that's that's clearly not how things really worked out in the show, but I would bet money that it is far more high performing than any GM. Well, maybe not some souped up ace ones, but most any other GM or Federation mobile suit. And it is the one, the only Gelgoog.
The Gelgoog.
Yeah. What I like about the Gelgoog, besides its look, it's got a pretty predatory look. Like, it's got that fin on its head, so it's kind of like a shark or a dinosaur or something. And pretty unique face, too.
Oh, it's a shark.
Fins mean danger. Everybody knows that. I like that it's got a pretty unique face, almost like a hound, kind of. Zaku's look like pigs, and Zeon, those mobile suits don't necessarily have kind of faces, but this one looks kind of pretty more animalistic, more predatory, I always thought. I also like that it has built-in guns. I guess Zeon finally learned from the Gundam that it's good to have some built-in weapons. So it has those forearm cannons that seem pretty effective. It wasn't in every episode, and it didn't really show up till later in the series, but it's pretty much a beast.
That's a respectable pick. We may revisit the Gelgoog a little later in my list as well.
Ooh. Yeah. The next number 4, right?
Number 4. So my number 4 is the Kempfer from Mobile Suit Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket. So this was a prototype mobile suit piloted by Mikhail Kaminsky of the Cyclops team. It's very unique. I would call it strikingly badass. That would be my first reaction when you look at it. I don't know anyone who doesn't like the look of the Kempfer. I mean, people may disagree with the Gundam or the Zaku or the Gelgoog. You'll get all your detractors there, but I've never seen someone say, man, that is ugly. Like, I don't like that. I feel like everyone loves the Kempfer. And it's this really cool deep blue with just all these little like yellow like thrusters everywhere. It's built for mobility. It has very low armor, as you'll see if you watch the
pilot
show.
Discovered.
But this thing is loaded from top to bottom with weapons. It's got 2 to 4 bazookas. It's got 2 shotguns, 2 Sturmfasts, which are basically handheld rockets. It's got sick-looking yellow beam sabers, and it has that really cool anti-armor chain mine. So you can tell it's a suit that's dedicated to one task. And that task is not meant for it to come back. It is meant for a suicide mission, and that's basically what it was. So the Kempfer was in 0080. The Cyclops team, their job was to find and destroy basically the successor to the Gundam that Amuro was piloting.
The Gundam Alex.
Yeah. This guy, Mikhail, he basically takes on the entire Scarlet team from the Grey Phantom. The Grey Phantom is a Pegasus-class ship. That gets sent into that colony where the Alex is being developed, and basically all the alarms sound when the Kempfer comes out, and all these mobile suits fly out of the Grey Phantom to go defend the Alex. But Mikhail over here in the Kempfer just blows them all away. He takes a gun cannon out of the sky with a shotgun. He switches to the Sturmfaust or however you say that, and he takes out 2 more GMs, and then he blows up another one with a bazooka. So this thing is like the John Wick of Zeon. Like he just mows down. Like he just
great.
Yeah, he just mows down everything in his path with whatever weapon he has, and he ditches it as soon as he runs out of ammo. And then he finally gets to that great moment where he finds the Alex, and he pulls that chain mine out of the truck, and he wraps it up, and he hits a switch and the explosion goes off, and if it wasn't for that Chobham armor, Zeon would have ruled the day. But he ended up getting hit by those armed Gatling guns, and that light armor. Turns out that's not a good thing when you fight a Gundam. So it was a great ride.
In his defense, though, and in defense of the design team for the Comfer, he was inebriated during combat.
he was.
All right.
He was.
If we had a sober pilot, things might have turned out differently. We'll never know.
Overall, great showing.
Excellent job, Zeon design team. I think that was Zimond, or maybe it was Zeonic. I'm going to go with Zeonic. As luck would have it, my number 4 is also the Comfer.
Oh.
Yay. It might be the only time we see a mobile suit use shotguns, right?
I don't remember any other times.
Yeah.
They definitely probably wouldn't use them in space, I would imagine. So it would definitely have to be either in a colony or on Earth.
Yeah. Well, I think there were beam shotguns or something. Oh, maybe not. There were shotguns. That's all that mattered.
Yeah, I mean, they were cool. They were like pump action, right?
Yeah.
So
to exemplify just how strong this mobile suit was, this prototype suit, by the way, it not only took out all of the Federation mobile suits, but destroyed the Grey Phantom. So
I don't believe that's true.
It didn't.
Did not. The reason the Grey Phantom is interesting. So the Grey Phantom first shows up in 0080. All of its suits gets wiped out by the Kempfer, so fine, great. But bad day for the Grey Phantom, I guess. But the ship survived, and it was actually at the Naval Assembly when Gato nuked everyone in 0083.
The luck of that ship.
But the Grey Phantom apparently survives the Naval Review. I guess it's damaged.
Of course.
It then shows up apparently in Unicorn.
That's pretty cool if it does. They're pulling from the lore.
Yeah. At some unknown later point, it crashed on Earth. Its wreckage served as the base for Zeon remnants that launched an attack on Australia's Torrington base in UC-96. So I assume...
as a husk.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
How sad. What a sad ending to the Grey Phantom. It ultimately fell to Zeon. Okay, maybe that was something else. Maybe that was a battle outside then. The Gelgoogs and all that, and the other fleet. But anyways, man, it was such a beast. If only they were mass produced. From what I read, the plan was that these would be the Special Forces mobile suits. It had the 1-year war continued. Had it gone to the 2-year war. And it was actually modular. So Zeon's plan, I assume, was that these could be separated and easily reassembled behind enemy lines. So maybe Zeon was planning a guerrilla war to continue the fight. That didn't really continue. I mean, they do kind of build the mobile suit on the spot. So, yeah. What could have been, right, Brian? We could have had a Kempfer.
What could have been. Yeah, and like you said, I don't think there were very many of them. I did read that I think the one in 0080 was the second iteration of the Kempfer. There was some prototypes that maybe appeared in a manga maybe after the fact, after 0080 came out, kind of a retcon kind of thing. And then there was maybe one used like later on as like a remnant suit. But I think the one everyone knows and loves is the one from 0080. So
yeah, it's a nice blue. It's a good, not a royal blue, not a navy. It's just a solid blue.
Yeah, it's this nice deep blue. I don't know.
Police officer uniform blue. Moving on.
All right. Moving up the list here. Number 3. So my number 3 is the Gouf Custom from 8th MS Team.
Ah, what a beast.
Yeah. So the Gouf Custom is basically a customized version of the normal Gouf, which we originally saw in Mobile Suit Gundam. And even when you see the Gouf in Mobile Suit Gundam, at this point, Amuro's kind of been smacking around the Zaku's quite a bit, and he's maybe getting a little too powerful. And then you enter Ramba Ral and his Gouf, and right away you know that, oh no, this suit is trouble. It's got like a different spike design on the shoulders, and it's got a different color. I mean, he even spells it out for you right in the show. He goes, "This is no Zaku, boy, no Zaku," which is a meme line now that's been repeated on everything, put on T-shirts. But that was back in 1979. So in the 8th MS Team, they took the Gouf and sort of modernized its design, and man, did they just knock it out of the park. One, they gave it to this really cool ace pilot in the series. He basically served as like the final boss for the 8th MS Team, Norris Packard. He comes out in this Gouf Custom to basically protect a Zeon, or ensure that a Zeon a Zanzibar class shuttle can launch. The whole fight may be one of the best fights in all of Gundam anime. well, first of all, I guess I should say that the Goof's normal whip and machine gun have been replaced by this mounted Gatling gun and like a grapple cable. And so Norris, he jumps out of the elevator and he lands on a building in front of the sun, and so you can see the silhouette with his like huge Goof sword, which is really iconic. He then, he stabs the gun tank with one of the gun tanks with his sword, and like the oil splashes on the Goof's face like blood, and that shows up in all the promos, which is really cool. He disables the leader of the 8 team's suit, the EZ8, and he holds it up as a shield, and so that the 8 team can't fire on him, and he kind of just walks around. He's like, what are you going to do now? And the whole fight was great. He used that cable to latch onto a water tower and like slow his descent into a building so they couldn't predict where he would be. He shot at the floor to stir up like dust instead of just running out in the open. And then at the end, he spoilers, I guess, he sacrifices himself to kill the last gun tank, so that to ensure that shuttle would launch. And the shuttle did launch eventually, but it did get shot out of the sky, which is pretty unfortunate for Norris. But yeah, I think maybe one of the best fights ever. So
yeah, I mean, all right, if we're gonna pick one of the Goofs, it's gonna be that one. On my list is a little known mobile suit. It made its appearance in Unicorn, but it was actually an ancient, well, not ancient, but it was from Zeon in the 1 Year War, non-Neo Zeon, not the sleeves. It was just brought back into action, and we saw it fight in Unicorn. And it is a mobile suit by the name of the Juagu.
The Juagu?
The Juagu. Now, fans are probably like, whoa, what the heck is that? All right. I need you to picture like an elephant wearing a sombrero. Because it's got like this long kind of nose. It's all right. Think of Zeon's aquatic mobile suits. It looks a lot like that. So it's got like these very unusual features, these long kind of arms, a long kind of elephant snout. I assume that does some type of water filtration or something like that. And it's just kind of a beast. It shoots missiles out of its fingers, and it's got these 6 lasers on its chest that just turned a GM and a Swiss cheese. It was pretty awesome when it showed up. Like lots of old Zeon mobile suits, though, it doesn't really last too well fighting multiple waves of GMs. But I really like the look of it. It'd be a good mid-range unit. I imagine. Yeah, Zeon never really made mid-range units like gym cannons or gun cannons. I guess this is the one that they tried to make and see if it worked, but they probably didn't produce enough, or the war just ended before they could start mass producing them. But I like it. Yeah,
I'm looking at this thing right now, and I gotta say, I think I remember it now. Wow, this is some design work right here. It reminds me of like an improved GOG or something.
Something like that, yeah. I imagine many a gym pilot was marching around and they saw this thing and they maybe reacted a second too late because they were just stunned by its appearance. What is that?
It is definitely very off-putting. If I was a gym pilot, I would probably fly the other way.
You would be stunned or intimidated, one or the other.
Both, yeah.
Yeah.
So are you telling me that every one of its, can we call those fingers?
Yeah.
Like, is each one of those like a beam cannon?
No, those are missile tubes.
That's even better.
Yeah, on its chest though, there's beam cannons there.
Oh, yep. Does it fire anything out of its elephant snout?
I don't think so. See, I assumed that was some type of filtration system in the water, maybe to allow the pilot to do extended operations, or some type of coolant system, but it doesn't seem to be maybe the best design. That would be its main design flaw, I would assume. Just a snout kind of flapping in front of its chest. Then again, that can probably take ammo, or that could take hits before incoming enemy fire actually hits the chest area of the cockpit. So maybe it was a wise decision. That's Zeon's stopgap method. They're like, well, you can't have a shield, but we'll put this thing that kind of dangles in front of the cockpit.
So just some extra padding, extra armor. Yeah, I'm reading about it right now. On MAHQ, it says that these were developed for the 1 Year War, but never deployed, and they kind of just sat there. They were meant to be used in the invasion of Jabra. Yeah,
of course. But they threw every aquatic thing they had at Jabra.
But apparently, Char discovered the secret entrance too soon. And these things basically just sat there for 20 years.
I bet they did. And then they show up in Unicorn, and it turns out the engineering team did a pretty good job because they
maybe they should maybe they should have used him earlier.
Probably, yeah.
Can you imagine how like this was some engineer's life's work, and
Bob
they just
Jagwell.
what is it, Juagu?
Bob Juagu.
Bob Juagu made this, and then they just never launched it. Dude probably spent 5 years of his life on this thing.
He was probably cheering from his nursing home, watching the sleeves attack in Gundam Unicorn.
Finally, the Juagu gets its day.
He's like, it's awesome.
Did they make a Juagu model?
No way. There's no way they made a model.
They do. Well, they make the 1/44th scale. Doesn't look like they make a master grade.
That doesn't count.
Yeah. Let me know when they make a master grade
podcast.
I don't think we're ever going to see a master grade Juagu.
No, but I get to enjoy it having one of the best combat scenes in Gundam Unicorn when it just turns that poor GM pilot into salami.
Well, I will say there is hope for a 100th scale. There is that other line now called I think re 100th scale. It's not quite as good as master grade, and it's meant for suits that maybe wouldn't sell quite as well at the master grade level, and so they price it lower. So maybe one day you'll get a re 100th.
Maybe I'd be happy with just a quality action figure or something. I even like the colors. It's rare for Zeon to go more towards lighter colors like that. For your listeners that aren't aware, it's kind of a copper white.
Yeah, very earth tones.
So pretty light as far as Zeon goes. I mean, those are kind of Federation desert colors almost.
Yeah, that thing is terrifying. I'm gonna have nightmares now.
It's an elephant of anger and hate.
Oh man. All right. That was number 3, right?
You didn't see that coming.
I gotta say, I did not see the Juagu coming. Briefly through my mind, I was like, did I watch all of the series? I think I did. The Juagu. Wow. All right. So that was number 3, right?
Correct. On to number 2. What is it, Brian?
All right. My number 2 is the Gelgoog.
Ooh.
So the Gelgoog has returned. So I guess I would say it's the Gelgoog in general, but probably specifically the high mobility and cannon type versions piloted by the Chimera Corps pilots. Oh. Probably specifically the one I like the most is the red and black one piloted by Johnny Ryden.
Of course.
Yeah. So like Isaac said earlier, the Gelgoog was equal or better to the Gundam, and that was the whole point of Zeon making this thing. The only problem was it was too little too late at that point. There were too many gyms running around for them to ever sort of pump out enough Gelgoogs to work. Plus, I think all the great Zeon pilots, besides maybe some of the Ace pilots, had died. So even though they had this Gelgoog, they were giving it to these people who really didn't know what they were doing. So didn't really end up changing the war. But the main reason I like this suit is I'm a sucker for Ace pilot suits in custom colors. Seems like every Ace pilot had one of these things. Char used one. He had a pink and red one in the later episodes of the original series. Johnny Ryden used one in the one-shot manga where he clears a path for Cassilia to take off at the Battle of Bawaku. And there's a great shot of him at the end in his Gelgoog, which is still intact. It's got some damage, but he's picked up a Heat Hawk from a stray Zaku, and he's just surrounded by all these GMs that he destroyed. So I just really enjoyed that. And Isaac, one of your favorite pilots, had one. Gato used one. He had a sweet looking blue-green one. Shima had one in 0083. Yeah. I think that one was a Gelgoog. It was slightly different. It was a Gelgoog commander type. But it was yellow and purple.
The Gelgoog Marines, that was her fleet. Yeah. They had the Gelgoog Marines.
But one of my goals is to get enough master grade Gelgoog so I can make my own Chimera Corps section.
Wow. Oh, that's a great goal. Yeah, I think I have Ace team.
Yeah, I have 4 of them right now. It just requires a lot of painting because they obviously don't come in all the custom colors. Plus, the Gelgoog has one of the most unique beam weapons out of the series, the Beam Naginata. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah. They must have a wrist twirl thing so they can spin that Beam Naginata. Do you remember that in the original series?
I don't remember it in the original series.
Yeah.
I remember. I mean, I put together a model of a Gelgoog, and I know it had that bizarre weapon.
Yes.
But I don't remember specifically it, turning into a Darth Maul fighting the Gundam or anything like that.
Like you said before, it's very menacing. Visually, it feels like the final evolution of the Zeon 1 Year War mobile suits to me.
Yeah.
You went from the Zaku to the more menacing Gouf to the the more menacing looking Dom, and then you round it out with this, like you said, this shark looking space suit in the Gelgoog, which is pretty terrifying. So that's my number 2.
Mean looking suit. I mean, if you think Zaku's look like pigs, this thing looks like something that probably hunts pigs or something.
Yeah, this is like the king space pig.
Yeah, the king space pig. That'll be the name of my flagship for Zeon.
King space pig. Yeah, it's full of Juagus.
Juagu space type. Just a cumbersome pride of elephants running around.
Wouldn't a Juagu be more maneuverable in space? Because
probably
there's no gravity, right? So
yeah,
maybe they should adapt that thing.
They clearly didn't plan things correctly. I mean, Jabra went to and then after that, they clearly abandoned them on Earth and said, well, just find some place to hide, guys.
That was my number 2.
Well, my number 2 is the one and only, the workhorse of Zeon. You know it. It's the Zaku 2. It's nothing flashy. It's nothing fancy, but man, it's bulky, and it could still give GMs a run for their money, even at the end of the war. Okay? Zeon was still fielding these. They were pretty old, but what can you do? The war's almost over. Heat-Hawks are pretty awesome. I don't think any other units really, or at least for Zeon, really used Heat-Hawks. Well, I won't say that. I think I've seen a Gelgoog use them sometimes, but Gelgoog's, I think he preferred saber weapons.
Gelgoogs definitely came equipped with the beam sabers, not the Heat-Hawks. Yeah. I think that one shot of Raiden using the Heat-Hawk in a Gelgoog is only because he picked it up.
A destroyed
Zaku, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but Zaku's were still pretty awesome. I mean, it's such a good visual design. They got that cool shield on one side and then the spiked shoulder pauldron on the other side, shoulder pad on the other side. That shielded shoulder never really did much help. Well, maybe they're fighting like a tank or something. It probably worked out pretty great, but against a GM, it's next to useless.
Well, that's a good point. You're right. I don't think the shield ever really did much. The Zaku was not built to fight the Gundam, right? Against like the Federation fighters and tanks, it probably could have just ran them over and felt like a speed bump.
Did. And let me just say, I'm saying my choice is the Zaku 2, not the Zaku 1, not the Zaku Kai. I don't like the Zaku Kai because, I don't know, it looks like a football player Gundam or something, or a football player Zaku or something. It's got like a big kind of shoulder, chest. It just looks warped. It's got like kind of an inflated upper body that I don't really care for too much compared to the regular Zaku 2.
Yeah, so that was actually going to be my next question. Did you have a favorite variant? So just the normal Zaku 2 then?
I'd say the space type. The space type is pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, the Zaku Kai is the one from 0080, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's the one Bernie pilots. Yeah.
Bernie, poor guy.
I definitely see what you're saying about the upper torso. I feel like they changed not only the proportions of the upper torso, but also I feel like they changed the head height relative to the shoulders. And I think maybe the head sits a little bit lower.
Yeah,
and maybe that's
it's supposed to perform better, but visually I think it was not a good look. Painting that cockpit door red wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
Execute that designer.
Yeah, Batman does that, right, with his emblem. It's yellow because that's where he has the most armor on his suit. I don't know that that's true for the Zakus, though.
The opposite is true for the Zaku. Yeah, they should paint their shoulders like the brightest color then.
Yeah, I think the original Gundam certainly deserves to be on this list, and the Zaku 2 is just as iconic as the original Gundam. So I think choosing the Zaku is a good choice for this list.
Absolutely. Even its gun is pretty iconic. That rounded machine gun with its round magazine that it has. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty iconic look. It wasn't until later in the war that Zeon got the Zaku's got that much cooler looking machine gun. It's just got a cool look overall, I think, and was always fun watching them on screen, even if they're about to be smashed or destroyed or cut in half as the pilot screams.
Hey, you know what? They never ran out of those things, though. Zaku's for days.
I imagine the Republic of Zeon had a small number of them left after the war as their local security.
So you did not like the Zaku 1?
For me, what draws me away is it has like that rod in the middle of its optical sensor, and I just never understood why that exists. The whole point of that sensor is to see. Why would you put something right down the middle?
Fair point.
I know it's kind of an early model, but come on.
Maybe an obvious design flaw. I'm not sure.
We had problems on day one over at Xeon.
Do you have any favorite colors of the Zaku 2? Because it's sort of like the Gelgoog. Before, everyone had a custom Gelgoog colors. They all had custom Zaku colors. So, Johnny Raiden had a red and black one. Char had a red one. Shin Matsunaga had a white one. The Black Tri-Stars had the black and purple ones or whatever.
I'm kind of a purist in that the green looks really good. But in 8th MS team, there's these airborne mobility Zakus. And they have like these really cool wings, these sort of vertical wings on their shoulder pads, and they fly around escorting a mobile armor in that show. They look pretty awesome. They were almost Black Tri-Star colors. I think they were more like a lavender black or lavender dark purple. They look pretty good at that color. Yeah, I liked it.
All right, classic green. Nothing wrong with that.
No, Xeon all the way.
All right, I think we've arrived at number 1.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Drum roll.
Any guesses as to? 'Cause I know what your number 1 is. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Of course.
So can you guess mine now based on what I've said?
I think I can.
Okay,
I think I can. Okay. Shot in the dark. I'm gonna say it's the Gym Sniper.
You are correct. Well, it's the Gym Sniper 2. It's the Gym Sniper 2. Yeah.
Forgive me.
They do look considerably different. So, yes, my number 1 pick is the Gym Sniper 2. Both color schemes are great, but specifically the White Dingo color scheme. The Gym Sniper 2 is the most powerful GM built in the 1 Year War. They just didn't make very many. Same story with all the suits, that there was not enough time, and they made it, but then the war ended, and then there was just no point in making more of them. So specifically the White Dingo color version, which is a white and deep blue color scheme with a very sharp looking green visor. I think that's the cleanest color scheme of any Federation suit from the 1 Year War. And I think that the white and the deep blue contrast perfectly, especially with that nice green visor at the top. And it has this really cool like sniper visor that then folds down over.
That was so awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And so there's not very many of these things. There were at least 2, maybe more, it's hard to tell, on board the Grey Phantom, which is the ship we just talked about earlier, that the Kempfer blew up all their mobile suits. But so then I started reading about the Grey Phantom. So these GM Sniper 2s were on board the Grey Phantom. They flew out to defend the Alex. All the reports say that the Kempfer wiped out all of the Grey Phantom's mobile suits. So that would mean that the Kempfer destroyed all the GM Sniper 2s that the Grey Phantom was carrying. Now they only show in the TV series, the Kempfer we only see him take out 2 of them. And there is actually an animation error. So when the GM Sniper 2s launch out of the Grey Phantom, they look like GM Sniper 2s. They're using the default color scheme, which is like a light blue and a dark blue. But then when the Kempfer shoots them down, they look like normal GMs or GM commands that has like the white and maybe like navy color scheme. Some people probably know that. So they look like Gym Sniper 2s. They're just, the coloring is wrong. So it's a quirky animation error, actually. I feel like they would have fixed it by now. But the GM Sniper 2 is probably most famous for being in the Dreamcast game, which was called Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes. And that is where the protagonist team in that game, the White Dingo team, I've never actually played the game, didn't have Dreamcast, but as I understand it, it's one of the later units that you can unlock, which makes sense. It's the most powerful GM in the war, so you probably wouldn't get it until the end. And the White Dingo team is basically an elite Federation team that was sent in to take back Australia from Xeon. It seems like maybe
Federation can have it.
Yeah.
What's there after Sydney?
You're right. I'm not sure really why you need it. I feel like you would have taken those ace pilots and maybe sent them over to Solomon and Baoku, but I don't know. That's just me. I mean, if you think about it, you got all these like crappy GMs going into battle at a Baoku, and then you got like the White Dingoes using the best GMs you got in Australia, which seems of no strategic importance. So I'm not sure that priorities were necessarily, aligned well. Yeah, that's mine. Based on looks alone, I think this thing is far and above the best Federation mobile suit. And
yeah, I really think they're pretty awesome looking too. The visor is what does it for me. It's so awesome how it like just drops down while they're flying to go fight the Kempfer.
Yeah, and then there's that cool pose. I think you can put that visor down and set the shield up and put the sniper rifle on top of the shield. Use it as your sniper rifle stand. Pretty sweet. And they did recently release a master grade GM Sniper 2, which I think was something that fans wanted for a very long time. And they released one both in the default colors, which is pretty easy to get and fairly inexpensive. But they also have a more exclusive version, which is called a P Bandai kit. Usually you have to import those. There's probably going to be at least double the price of the normal one, but it will come in the White Dingo color scheme, and I think it has a few extra gimmicks on the guns or something like that. So
I definitely see it in your collection in the future.
I already have one. It's not built.
Of course. Well, you can never have too many of your favorite mobile suit.
No, I might buy another one just in case they go out of print.
Speaking of favorite mobile suits, my number one is the one, the only, the Dom.
The Dom.
Dom. Doms are awesome, and let me tell you why. Because they can hover around, okay? They don't have to walk. They can just lift themselves off the ground and then, that cool noise they make as they fly around. They're pretty much like the roller skating wherever they want to go, or rollerblading. My one design flaw, though, if I could say, is that they have like maybe the largest feet on any mobile suit on either side of any war ever. It's like just bell bottoms, man. Goodness. The circumference of their feet, I think, is wider than like even accounting for their shoulders and upper body. That must be the only way the design could have worked, right? They need that much area to project lift so it can raise off the ground and then fly around.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All vents? Yeah,
that makes sense. I mean, it definitely was a big mobile suit, and if you're not getting enough thrust to make it hover, I guess you got to add more. And the only way to add more is to add more space. So I guess they made the feet bigger.
There's really only one direction this design could go.
Yeah, lateral.
You're gonna have to make those. It's gonna be walking on pancakes and pizzas.
So what you're telling me is that your ship, the King Space Pig, is going to be full of the hate elephant Jawagoos and the pizza pancake terrors.
Exactly.
The Doms.
There you go. Exactly. I also like the face. I also thought the cross optical sensor was cool with its mono eye. It kind of raises some interesting questions, though. Like, if they needed the sort of up and down area of that cross to raise the mono eye up and down, does that mean the Zaku this whole time has had really limited vision up and down?
That could explain a lot.
Yeah, it explains why his Doms perform so damn well compared to Zaku's and maybe not Gelgoog's, but yeah.
Turns out if you could look up and down, that's an advantage.
Yeah, it's great in war. What else do I like about it? On paper, it outperforms the Zaku, no problem. It's not only faster, it has better armor, it does better in space, and it also has one of my favorite weapons on any mobile suit, and that is the Heat Saber, which is so awesome. There's this cool scene in 083 where I think it's the first episode maybe, the Doms are attacking a Federation base, and it takes out its beam saber while it's hovering at high speed, and this poor Gym pilot just stands still, pulls out his gun and starts shooting at it, and this Heat Saber just goes through him like a hot knife through butter. You can even see like kind of where it contacts and cleaves the GM in half, and it's all kind of molten metal, and before it blows up. It was really awesome.
Yeah, the Heat Rod is the next evolution of the Heat Hawk, right? It was like,
pretty much, yeah.
You like this Heat Axe? We'll give you just a whole sword made out of the Heat Rod material. So.
You know what, though? I only see them on Doms. I've never seen a Zaku or a Gelgoog wield one. I don't even think a Goof has wielded one. Well, Goofs have plenty of weapons already. But yeah, Heat Sabers, I think, were Dom issued only. The Dom also had that cool kind of blinder on its chest that can blind pilots, which was such a Xeon move. Like we're gonna build a standard weapon that like just blinds the enemy pilot so you can slaughter them at your will, at your leisure.
And plus, how could we forget that the Doms gave us the Black Tri-Stars and the Jet Stream attack?
There you go. Yeah, you can't do that without the hover.
Definitely not. Do you have any favorite Dom variants? I mean, I guess there's not that many, right?
there's a few. Like off the top of my head, there's the Rick Dom, right? The Dom Troppin, I think, is my favorite just because I saw that in 0083. It was pretty much just a regular Dom. Visually, it almost looks identical. The only difference is internally they made it, I think, better for arid and tropical climates.
Did it also have slightly larger pant legs?
It might have. I think for sure they definitely slapped some extra like turbines on its legs.
Okay. Yeah.
So maybe it went faster, but it visually had turbines on its legs this time.
I love Zeon engineering. Just add more thrusters.
Guys, we're going to be executed if we don't pull this off. All right, we'll slap 4 turbines on each leg.
Good to go. Call it an Ace pilot suit. Send it out. Yeah. Paint it.
Actually, if you watch 0083, like the very first episode, the first 10 minutes, I think, we actually see Gato had a custom Dom. So that's our list.
Yeah, you're right. Look at this.
Yeah.
Oh, he did paint it. It's his normal like blue and green. Interesting.
That's when Delaz had to like run over to him and kind of slap him out of it. Pull yourself together, man.
He used a Rick Dom custom.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. The Doms lived on. There were many other mobile suits in Zeta and Double Zeta that took on their aesthetic. Even I think in Unicorn there's some that clearly look like they inherited some of the Dom's features. Pretty much the cross eye that lets you know that's kind of a Dom.
Yeah, the cross eye was super unique.
Yeah, it looked awesome. I liked it. Very Cyclops-like. More so than the Zaku, the space pig.
If you had to compare the Dom to an animal, what would it be?
Ooh, damn. Oh, that's hard.
Now that I'm looking at it, the cross just really reminds me of like a Templar. Templar Knight.
That's pretty cool. Well, I just go with Cyclops. It's like a supernatural kind of creature. Yeah. It's still pretty visually intimidating. Every other Zeon mobile suit has the mono eye, but this one is the only one that doesn't have really any type of snout. It's just all sensor.
All eye.
Yeah.
No room for snout.
We're going to make sure our pilot can see everything. It paid off. It was probably their best performing mobile suit. I mean, say what you will about the Gelgoog, but for something that's supposed to be a Gundam killer, it never really met up to that. But the Dom any day of the week, I think, could take out a GM.
All right. Well, that was our list. That was our top 5.
Well, listeners, what's your top 5 for the 1 Year War? Remember, it doesn't have to be from the Federation only or Zeon only. You can cross over, mix and match. As long as it fought in the 1 Year War, it's a good game. Tell us your top 5.
Also, let us know how you felt about our top 5. Did you harshly judge us, or do you agree with us on maybe some of our picks?
Are you yelling? Are you yelling at this podcast right now?
What was your reaction when Isaac said the Juwaku?
Just Google it, all right? Just YouTube the Juwagu in combat.
If you can spell it.
Yeah. Juaggu. That's all you need to know.
All right, so don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Colony Drop.
See ya. Hail Zeon. Victory for Zeon. Peace.
Hail Juwagu.